I had no plan to scratch build a dashboard. All I really wanted was something to house the ECU and other electronic components which are located just in front of the mid-engine. That quickly turned into making a center console. But how was the center console going to terminate? Why, it needs to become part of the dashboard, so I'll just make a dash. Pretty sure we left off here. First, a mock-up template with the right contours made. Horizontal lines are drawn every ½ inch. From the center line, the distance to the pod is recorded and drawn on the graph. What is going on here? And look, here's the graph ready to be cut out.
And here's the graph being cut out!
Click, flip, and dismount the piece from the slip roller and check progress against the mock-up piece. For those of you who weren't with us on part 1, this is the tipping die operation. It's used to make angle breaks on a curve. It's best not to take one big bending bite, but rather several smaller ones. Going hand in hand with the tipping die is the shrinker stretcher to bring back the metal back into shape. Going hand in hand with the shrinker stretcher is lots of sanding to take out the tool marks the shrinker and stretcher leaves behind. Looks like someone needs to make some extensions to meet up with the stock Corvair A-pillar covers. To keep from needing a band-aid on my leg every time I get into the car, I'm going to fix this ragged edge. I'll start by bending a ½ inch piece of aluminum tubing. I suppose this work could be done with just a hacksaw and a file, but I don't have that skill level. See where we're going with this? That's right, cut it down the center. I own a hacksaw, but it just hates me. I prefer tools that can instantly remove digits. The piece is Frenched in there and waiting for somebody to weld it up. After sanding, it's good enough for paint. I hung the doors to make sure that, they don't hit the dash, but sure enough they do. Maybe a standoff could be made so that the door doesn't close all the way. Then it won't hit the dash. Probably the easiest thing to do is to make a relief in the dash. I'll do this by cutting a piece of 2-inch tube to fit inverted into the dash. Something like this. And here the piece is welded in and sanded smooth. I'm ashamed to say I worked on these bridges for hours. So many angles, I couldn't even execute them in one piece. Still not a perfect fit, but time to move forward and weld them up. After they're welded on, the laborious process of blending it into the dash takes place using a die grinder with various grinding and sanding bits. It's all inside corner, inside radius work, so this is the only way to do it. After it's done, it will all look like one piece. Since it's time to remove the fake steering columns, I needed to make hard mounts to support the dash. The fake steering columns were used to locate and construct the dash pods. I made a square tubular lateral support as the original dash is no longer there to give strength. I failed to film the making of this part, but it's the glove box door frame. For the glove box door, I used 80 thousandths thick aluminum because I have to weld something to it. I don't know what, but I know something will have to be welded to it. Using a tipping die to roll a radius on the bottom of the door. Glove box door and door frame. Someone must have stolen the video of this, but this is the frame mounted in the pod. Once again, here's that rivet spacer for marking holes. I'll leave a link for it in the description. The holes are for the door hinge screws. 632 nutserts inserted to fasten the door frame. This is the actual roof of the inside glove box. It has a tipped edge which needs to be stretched. The stretching is what brings the piece into shape. The box is trial fitted together using Clecos. I have a general plan on what I'm doing, but some of it is simply made up as I go. Here I'm spitballing ideas for a door stay. Using a hinged rod is how it's done on a C2 Corvette, but it won't work here for a few reasons, mostly because the box isn't deep enough. I think I'm going to do something easy like finish up the box. Countersunk 1/8" aluminum solid rivets are used to fasten the box to the frame. The best tools to use for flush rivets is a simple hammer and punch, and have something to buck up against. Yay! All the dash parts arrived. Holly gauges, Corvette C2 switches, and some other whatnots. Last but not least is this Corvair emblem. While I'm still thinking about how to do the glove box stay, I'm going to work on the driver's side for a while. It gets the same rolled lower edge treatment. The instructions explicitly say you must drill holes for the gauges. They're not supplied in the box. Here's how you make a 4 1/4 inch hole when you only have a 4-inch hole saw. Check your text. This is what I came up with for a door stay. A slotted piece of 3/4 inch stock with a set screw which clamps to the curved door stay. It's adjustable. It pokes through the bottom of the box a bit, but is nary visible from a seated position. Two problems are the gloves in the glove box will get jammed up in the mechanism. Also, any loose jelly bean stored in there will fall through the hole. To cover the offending mechanism, I tried using a piece of 1-inch tube I bent, but it wasn't the correct radius and it's the only radius I had. So I built this box. The box looks a little like it's in the wrong neighborhood with all these round structures, but for crying out loud, it's in the glove box. Nobody cares. I still have to deal with these pointy things, and oh, that tiny latch is from a VW. I can't get away from VWs. These holes are for the air conditioning vents. The vents, or louvers, came from Vintage Air and have 7 spokes because 8 is too many and 6 is not enough. This next cutout is for the Holley 6.8-inch Pro Dash. It will display lesser important information like oil pressure, volts, intake air temperature, or however I want to set it up. It can be used to program the ECU and show playback. Warning lights, virtual switches can be programmed in as well. Because I use the Holley terminator, all of the gauges play together because they are all connected by CAN bus. Holy cow, I sound like a Holley rep. This thing needs a phone pocket. Or somewhere to stash your weed. Tiny little 4/48 screws hold this thing in place. Do you think it's going to fly out when I gas it? They sell a tool for this, but it wasn't too much trouble to make one. The tool socket is used to tighten the GM switch nuts. There are 3 styles of C2 switches, 65 and earlier, 66 and 67 and later. I chose the 1966 flavor. The dash bezels are for the 1966-67 Nova. The ignition switch nut had to be turned down to fit the bezel, however. 3 tiny LED indicators are in there, 1 for the high beam and 2 for the turn signals. These are the air conditioning knobs and come from Restomod Air. I plan to use Restomod for the rest of the AC unit. The dash currently only has 2 vents. I'm still thinking about where to put the other 1 or 2 vents. I'm adding a USB and Type-C charger. So there you have it, 1,000,000 hours of work in a 13-minute video. Did it come from Amazon? Technically, the USB charger came from Amazon, but that's it. Oh, and you'll probably be seeing a lot more of this. Some crazy things going on with this thing.